His passport was revoked on 23rd February 2018, and subsequently on that revoked passport and a diffusion notice that was issued on Interpol. Despite that, he traveled extensively across the globe. Now, he first went to New York and then he came to London. In London, he stayed for at least 4 or 5 days and then went to Hong Kong, wrapped up his business there, then went back to New York, filed for bankruptcy of Firestar International. From there, he went back to London, and from London, he went to Paris, and from Paris, he went back to England. Now, this period also coincides with Nirav Modi setting up his new company called Nirav Modi Limited, and this company was registered at Bond Street. So what he was doing, if you just go by these dates, is that he was closing in his old business, setting up new business, and because he had this maze of shell companies, he easily set up a new company in England. And that's what the charge sheet filed by ED and CBI clearly mentioned, that he in fact closed all his business and then fled India. He had a backup plan, and that's what he did, but he managed to hoodwink all agencies in India, be it CBI or even the Enforcement Directorate.
The government today clarified they're aware about Nirav Modi's presence in London and are making all efforts to extradite him. The extradition request is under the UK government's consideration.
We have made a request based on information received from ED and CBI. We have made a request for extradition with the UK authorities in August last year. Despite whatever we see on television today, the status remains the same. UK is still to respond or is still considering a request for extradition of Nirav Modi. Please try to understand that the fact that we have requested the UK government for extradition of Nirav Modi, it means that we were aware that he is in UK, otherwise we would not have made a request for extradition. And also try to understand how the whole process works. Just because he has been spotted doesn't mean that he can be immediately brought back to India. You see, there is a process.
All right, Mr. Rarina also joining us on the phone line now, Senior Advocate of the Supreme Court and former RBI Central Board member. Mr. Rarina, thanks for joining us. You just heard the MEA speak as well on the fact that Nirav Modi has been spotted. If you could run us through the ramifications of this. As he said, there is a formal process that needs to be followed, but once again, the matter will come under focus.
Yes, as we know in the case of Vijay Mallya, it has taken us several months before some order can be obtained from a court. Obviously, the Home Ministry is sitting on its file, and unless they give the permission, nothing can be done. But once that permission is given for extradition, then again Nirav Modi will go through the legal process the same way that Vijay Mallya did and take the matter to court. And the Indian government will then have to send its own representatives, get the matter argued, spend a lot of money, and then we wait and see whether the London court, UK court, allows the extradition to take place. So this process will continue for a very long time, I think another year or so before we can ever think of getting him back.
So in the meanwhile, Mr. Rarina, what happens in terms of the cases against him, accountability? I mean, what are really the options left to the government in terms of pursuing this back here?
Well, we have this Fugitives Act. Under the Fugitives Law, if a man has run away and he has got assets in India, then the Indian government can take control over those assets, and after doing due process of law, can sell them. And this is the only thing which the Indian government can do: take care of all his take control over all his Indian assets, and then see whether they can be disposed of at what price. As you know, they did collect a lot of his so-called jewelry and diamonds. Many of them were found to be extremely overvalued, and they could hardly recover what was shown in the catalogue of the Nirav Modi collection. So these problems will be there. All that the Indian government can do is to seize his Indian assets and then keep on pressing the UK government for the extradition process to be expedited.
All right, Mr. Rarina, thanks so much for joining us and taking us through some of the ramifications of the latest developments there on Nirav Modi.